Hello, family, and welcome to another episode of Role Model Experts Cafe. I'm your host, Dr. L, the Parent Whisperer. And today with me, I have an amazing lady. I have seen her in our community, and I think she has a very important message that you guys need to pay attention to. So it is my pleasure to introduce to you guys Ms. Chipochemeso Shambare. Did I say that right?
Yeah,
Shambare.
very good.
I
Very
almost
good. Thank you. Yes.
got
Practice. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So she's an amazing human being, and thank you for being here, and thank you, audience, for tuning in. Chipochemeso, can you please tell our audience members what it is that you do and how you got involved doing what you do, and then we'll go from there.
Wow, this is a long story.
Sure.
I started off as a nurse. I grew up with a grandmother who was a healer, and I went into nursing because that was more scientific. So I trained as a nurse, and being a nurse, I got to work so hard just helping patients. That's always my focus. My focus wasn't on me, it was on them.
Right.
So I was working 24/7. I was just sometimes work 2-3 days nonstop as a nurse. So I got quite ill when I was working up north in northern Canada, and I was evacuated to go to a bigger hospital. They decided they were going to do surgery, brain surgery, because I had headaches that not even Demerol would help.
Wow.
So I got to speak to different doctors, and we all had a conference. They said, well, there's nothing we can do for you, Ms. Shambare, except we can open your brain and see maybe there's something we can't see from all the tests. I said, no. That's when I really woke up and said, no, I can't do this. So I decided to leave nursing and go and find out what else could help me. And I realized I was so stressed, I was overwhelmed, all kinds of stuff was going on. I didn't really take care of myself.
Right. How many parents do you know that do that too? It's the sacrifice, self-sacrifice, give, and then you eventually run on empty, or actually many of them are running on empty. So thank you
Yes.
for bringing that focus back onto self. So tell us a little bit more about what are some of the problems and challenges that you see when people are like that and they're coming to you.
Right. Well, people, if they are working for themselves or working for somebody else, they're so focused on that or focused on the family. Most people I've noticed, they are very people pleasing. They have to make sure their family is happy. Like my mother, she used to cook for us. I loved her cooking, but she could not dish food for herself first. She would feed everybody else. If there was any left, she'll take the leftovers.
Right.
I thought, well, no, you can't do that. You need to eat first. Oh, but I want to make sure the family is fed.
Right. And actually, what you just mentioned makes me think of this too, because the majority of our audience members are women. And some of them are also career women. So they're also balancing and juggling the whole career thing with family. They already have guilt about missing time from family, and they always have guilt about like not taking care of their business and the career and the profession, and if they're focusing. So there's this FOMO, basically, for lack of a better word, that they're fear of missing out, basically. And at the same time, when they are stretching themselves thin between these two, there's no time for themselves, right? So many times when I see heart-centered individuals, givers, moms, caretakers, that's one of the things that they talk about. It's like, there's just not enough time for me. And if I have to take time out of these other things to put on me, that feels selfish.
Well, yeah, I don't call it selfish. I'll call it self-care.
Okay.
Because we have to look at, what about me? You know, when we fly, they always say, if the plane has to come down wherever, make sure you put your oxygen mask on first.
Right.
So I say, put your oxygen mask first. Make sure your oxygen tank is full.
Right.
Before you go around and trying to help the whole plane, make sure they have their masks on.
Right.
So it's, yeah, women, we are that. I guess we give. Even there are some men that give. They
Right.
don't think of themselves, but I think mostly it's the women. Those are the ones that I'm really invested in, to really say, ladies, let's take care of ourselves. Because when we do get sick, who is going to take care of us?
Right. Exactly. So I have a question on this. Where do we start by taking care of ourselves? Like, what's a starting point? Because for most of us, we have gone neglecting this in so many ways and for so long that there are so many places that we need the TLC. Where do we begin on this?
Well, the first thing I say, when we were born, the baby, I was a midwife. So the baby breathes, they have to breathe. If they don't, the whole delivery room goes crazy,
Right.
pumping the baby, putting oxygen on. That's the first place for us to take a breath.
Right.
My podcast is called Just Deep Breathe.
I love that. I love that.
Just to remind people, let's breathe. We have it. We carry it everywhere. Say, the lungs, everything just breathe for itself, but it's not enough. We are topping the gas tank. We are not, it's empty, but we're just putting $1, $5 maybe. What about if we fill the whole tank? Take time for that. Right. And like you said before, people say, I have no time for myself. I said, okay, let's see. Do you actually, I don't know how this is going to sound. Do you actually go to the washroom? And people say, yes. I said, okay, while you were sitting, could you just remember to breathe? It's a place we all go and it's private. So can I take time and just do some deep breathing?
Right. So it's not necessarily about taking time away from something else. You already have that time, just repurposing and reusing it, basically.
Right. Yeah. Before we go to bed, can we take some time to breathe? When you take a shower, a bath, can we take some time to breathe?
Okay. That's a good point. Very cool. All right.
Then that way you are kind of thinking, oh, okay, I'm not taking extra time. Right. But then gradually, as I work with them, I make sure they start taking time to do something. Now that they've found that there's some benefits in breathing, because breath is life. So if we don't breathe, I got quite, even after the nursing, when I was just during COVID, I had the near-death experience. Right. Which was for 2 years. It wasn't fun, but I grew a lot. I learned a lot about self-care.
Right. Chipochemeso, you mentioned we were talking about this, and it's not necessarily about the time, as you just illustrated it really profoundly, but the actual moments, right? So people that are feeling stressed and they don't have time for themselves to care for themselves, focusing on the moments, because you can stretch a second into a long moment. Correct. So just like you were saying, going to the restroom and at the same time taking a moment to breathe, you come back out, it's still the same bathroom break, but you feel rejuvenated because you took that moment, right?
Right.
So
even shaving for men, while they shave, while you put your makeup on for ladies, just remember to breathe. I have stickers, in my bathroom, in my bedroom. Right. Just deep breathe.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. So when we're talking about self-care, what are some of the areas that people run into problems? What are some of the things because that's the other thing. As a parent, we're constantly running and not taking care of ourselves, right?
Right.
So inadvertently, we're teaching that to our children. So now that we grow up, we don't have a model for what self-care actually looks like.
Exactly. Yeah.
So tell us, what does that look like in real life? You mentioned breathing as a technique to take a moment. But what is self-care? That's a foreign word to parents, I think.
Well, it's a word, I don't know. I think it means different things for everybody. Some people say, well, it's selfish. It's for me, it's not. I think it's something that I can say, you know what, I matter, I'm somebody, to really connect with me.
Okay.
What is me feeling? What are you feeling? What's going on? What are you thinking about yourself?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. For me, I actually wanted to answer that question. Self-care in many ways involves travel, involves hiking, or that normally you would think self-care would have to be something that you do to yourself, but it actually is the actual act of traveling that to me is self-care because I value freedom.
Yes. Yeah, going out for a walk. I mean, a walk is one of my things. I have 2 grandkids and they come and spend a weekend with me. So they know when we wake up, we'll make smoothie and then let's go for a walk. And we all go for a walk. We play in the park and we try to find things. And then we come back. I said, okay, how do you feel now? We feel good. We do what we call a spa day. One is 6, the other is 11. The 11 is a boy. He's not crazy about spa day. So, but we do spa day, just, all of us together. And I take time from my work so that I can be with them for those, maybe sometimes it's half an hour, sometimes it's 10 minutes.
Right.
That's what I have to do something for myself. But things like meditation, it's something. I mean, you don't have to call it meditation, call it something else. Relaxation, just sitting and listen. I get these kids to sit and listen with me to meditate. Oh, it's meditation time. They close their eyes, they put their fingers together. And, we spend maybe 5 minutes. Right. And I feel I'm teaching them what to do.
I love this, and I can see how you have this whole wealth of different things and redefining what self-care could mean to people. So how can people find out more about what you do and connect with you? I believe you have a community, correct?
Yes, yeah. I have a website where they can go. It's called Healing Bridge Facilitation.com. I call it Healing Bridge because I want people to, we're mostly in our heads. We're thinking all the time. Right. So the bridge will be from the head to the heart. Right. Let's build this bridge between these 2 entities that we have.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I know that after finishing school and going through school for so many years, and then right afterwards going into starting a family and running a business and treating patients, I never had time to stop and think about what it is that I'm passionate about. And it took me a couple of years to connect to my heart and what I was passionate about, because I was always up here. Yeah. And eventually you lose the joy and the zest in life because you're up here and you need to connect, like you said.
Right. And this gets really busy. It's like a busy highway. Traffic is going all over the place. To get people to come back downstairs, I always come back from the attic and come down to the 4th floor. Right. And see
the living room, the real living room.
Right. And find out what's going on there. Right. And some people, it's like that, they get it. Then there are some people that just takes a long time.
Yeah. For me, I had been there for so long that it took me literally a couple of years. So yeah, absolutely. This is really valuable stuff. And really, I started living and thriving when I reconnected. So I see the value of that. All right. So guys, very important. I know some of you are multitasking. Some of you are, driving and listening to this. Number 1, make sure that you role model the behavior. Get used to connecting to people. I highly encourage you to connect to Chipochemeso and make sure that you check out the links that I'm going to put in the description. Also, it's important for our kids to understand that we don't always have the answer, but there are always experts and people who are willing to support us. So do reach out. Heart-centered individuals have a difficult time accepting gifts, accepting help and support. It's okay. It's important. So number 1, make sure that you click subscribe so you get notified of all the experts that come on the channel, bringing their expertise, bringing gifts to you guys. Number two, make sure that you connect with Chipochemeso and connect with the community that she's built, because that community is something that will support you and facilitate this process that for many of us doesn't come naturally anymore, right?
Yeah.
So it's important to do that.
Exactly.
And Chipochemeso, I really appreciate it. First of all, thank you for getting out of nursing to do what you're doing right now, because this is just as important as treating the people who have fallen sick, but actually making sure that you prevent that in the first place. So thank you for doing that. Any final words for our audience members before we finish today?
Well, just to remind everybody that, we all have the same 24 hours in a day. Nobody has more, nobody has less. So how are we looking at that? And I'm really grateful for the community that I found you, Dr. L. And I'm looking forward to working, to connecting with you. I hope everybody in the community get to know them, what they do, and how we can support one another.
Absolutely.
Call if you want to talk. Let's talk. I didn't put my link to my calendar, but just send me.
As soon as she puts that link to the calendar, I'll put that in here too. So I appreciate you guys. Until next time. Cheers.
Okay. Thank you.